Hello everyone, and welcome to a special edition of Hashtag Onward Lebanon on this Friday, March 27th. Hashtag Onward Lebanon is a show airing monthly here on Lebanon Channel 6. I am your host, Todd Yohe, and I serve our community as the Superintendent of Schools for the Lebanon City School District. Hashtag Onward Lebanon is designed to provide viewers with an insight into the Lebanon schools, its people, its students, and its programming. And today, of course, we're going to talk about our school district's response to the COVID-19 pandemic and updates as we know them today. Today in this special edition of Hashtag Onward Lebanon, I want to provide people some updates and how we're responding to the orders from Governor DeWine. In addition, I will discuss what learning will look like beginning next Monday for students attending Lebanon City Schools. As of the taping of this show, schools in Ohio are still scheduled to return to normal operations on April 6th. I think most of us believe that that will not happen, and we are awaiting a decision from Governor DeWine that will extend the school closure order, perhaps for the remainder of the 2019-20 school year. And that is important to remember because we are getting a lot of questions right now about seniors graduating, about graduation ceremonies, about prom, about spring sports, and about other traditional spring activities that occur in our school district. And we cannot answer those questions right now because, as I said, currently the school closure that has been issued, the order that has been issued from our governor, is set to close schools only for the 3 weeks that were determined, which means as of this taping, we are still scheduled to return to school on April 6th. So we don't want to make a lot of announcements about what we're going to do with graduation and seniors and so on, and then have to backtrack should, for some reason, we return to school by order of the governor. So once that decision is made in Columbus and it's announced to school districts, we then will announce our plans for those items. We certainly have been planning for the closure to be extended. We've been planning for not returning to school for the 19-20 school year. But once we have that official word that that decision has been made, then we'll start communicating those plans to our students and parents and to our community. So we just ask for your patience at this point in time in that we just don't have that word yet that we're going to be out for any additional time. Our food pickups will continue throughout the time of the closure, whatever time that is determined to be. Food pickups are on Tuesdays from 4 to 5:30 p.m. at Berry Intermediate School, and then again on Friday of each week from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at Countryside YMCA. That food is designated for our students and families in need. I want to thank all of our volunteers. I want to thank Joshua's Place, and I want to thank all of the people and organizations who continue to donate to that food drive and making sure that our kids have food to eat each and every day. The Ohio High School Athletic Association announced this week that all of the winter sports tournaments have now been canceled. That's a blow to our student athletes who were competing in the winter sports tournaments. We had 6 wrestlers who were going to the state wrestling tournament, and we had some other athletes involved in their individual sports tournaments. Feel bad for our senior athletes that decision was made. I don't think it's a surprise to anyone. It's the right decision by the Ohio High School Athletic Association, but it certainly is a sad day for our winter sports athletes across the state who were still in tournament. And so this year there will be no champions crowned in boys and girls basketball, wrestling, bowling, and some of the other winter sports, swimming, etc., that are part of the winter sports season. That'll be an asterisk in the Ohio school athletic books about this sports season. But as a result of that, the Ohio High School Athletic Association has not made a decision about spring sports. And that's part of the issue with Governor DeWine's order at this point in time. Since we are still scheduled to come back on April 6th, the Ohio High School Athletic Association cannot make any announcements about the spring sports schedule, but I'm sure that will come shortly after any decision made by the governor. But as of right now, our spring sports season is still scheduled to occur in some abbreviated form, although we expect that will be canceled soon after the governor makes any announcement as well. But because it's still on, our athletic facilities still remain closed to the public. All of our indoor and outdoor school athletic facilities are closed. The football field and track are closed, and they're closed by order of the Ohio High School Athletic Association. The reasons are twofold. One is to keep groups of people from congregating in one place, and the second is to protect the eligibility of our spring sports athletes. So people are just going to have to sit tight and wait until we find out about what's going to happen the rest of this school year with schools and for spring sports, but we'll make sure we communicate that as soon as we know, and we appreciate everybody's cooperation with staying out of our facilities and off of our outdoor athletic complexes. So next Monday, we return to learning for this school year through the use of online instructional guidance. People are receiving more detailed instructions about that. Some messages went out yesterday. Additional messages will go out today to our parents and our students. And it's important that people understand that using an online environment for this type of instruction is new for all of us. It's new for our students, it's new for our teachers, and it's new for our parents. And it's going to take all of us time to make this adjustment. And we're using the next 2 weeks as a time to make those adjustments. And it's going to be good. It's going to move towards better every day. It's not going to be perfect, and we shouldn't expect it to be perfect. And so we ask for people's patience and their flexibility and their help during this period of adjustment. So we fully expect that we're going to have some issues that we're going to have to solve. And that's part of our job. Problem solving is part of the jobs that we do every day in this school district. And so we will figure out solutions to any of the problems that we face, and we'll get those corrected. And so the online experience that we're talking about is going to be different from what we do traditionally in classrooms. Our goal is to continue the learning process for our students through activities, through self-paced lessons, through the issuance of challenges, through reading and writing assignments, and other guided experiences that will help our students get through the next several weeks of school. Your child, our students, will not be in front of a screen for hours a day. In fact, screen time is limited, and those limitations are defined in that information that's been going out the last couple of days. And the younger the student, the less time there is expected for those learning experiences to happen. And so it's about an hour a day for our younger students and up to 2 hours a day for our high school students. But we know that people are wondering and maybe even a little stressed about what this is going to look like. We are as well. We think we have everything set in place and everything planned for, but I'm sure we'll get a few curveballs thrown our way. But we'll knock them out of the park when they show up. There is information about borrowing Chromebooks if you need an extra device in your home, but please know that any device will work as long as you can access the internet. It does not have to be a Chromebook, but we are in a position to help people borrow some Chromebooks if you need some extra devices in your house, and guidance about that went out yesterday and today, so you can find that on our Facebook page and some of the communications that went out to parents. We know that students are stressed about grades and what is grading going to look like in this online environment. Well, we have removed that stress, hopefully, for our kids. And maybe we've even removed it a little bit for some of our parents. And we have made the decision that all of the assignments and all of the work that will be conducted here this fourth quarter during the online instruction portion will be on a pass-fail basis. And so if you complete the work, you're going to pass the work. So it's important, to keep up with those assignments and those activities and get them completed so that you can pass the fourth quarter. What we are still working on is how do we then determine a final grade for the course. And so we're working on how do we merge third quarter traditional grading with the fourth quarter pass-fail to come up with a fair assessment of the student for second semester. And we're working on that. When we have it finalized, we will announce that to you. But I assure you that it's going to be in the best interest of kids. And so we're going to come up with a plan that's going to favor our students. So again, if you're stressing about grades, you should not be stressing about it. It's pass-fail for the fourth quarter, and then we'll figure out how that impacts final grades, and we'll get that information out to you. So with a little bit more information on what our instruction is going to look like starting on Monday, our curriculum director, Mark Grayler, produced a great video to share with our community about what our online program will look like. So let's take a look at that right now.
Hello, Lebanon families. This is Mark Grayler. I serve the district as the Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and I'd like to share some information with you about how Lebanon's remote learning program will begin and grow in the coming weeks. Teachers worked together on Friday, March 20th to prepare 2 weeks of activities and lessons for students. We view these next 2 weeks as a time for students, families, and teachers to learn how remote learning will work. It seems now that we will likely be out of school for longer than originally expected, and teachers will be continuing to plan and provide activities and lessons to support student learning and growth while they're at home. I'd like everyone to keep some items in mind as we all start to work with a very new learning structure. First, patience and flexibility will be important. Our goal will be to provide activities and lessons for a week at a time, with suggested schedules for completion. You should feel free to modify those schedules to fit your family's needs. Second, how long should students be engaged with the activities and lessons we've prepared? We've designed the activities for the next 2 weeks to fit generally into these guidelines. Some additional time may be needed for junior high students in world language or health classes, and high school students in AP classes. As we continue with remote learning, we may need to adjust these guidelines. Third, you should not be worried about grades. We want students and you focused on completion of the learning activities prepared by our staff. All courses for all grade levels will be assessed as pass-fail for the fourth quarter. Students will pass if they do the work. Discussions about issuing second semester credit for students in high school courses are ongoing, and we'll communicate those decisions as soon as we have them. Fourth, having a schedule for the day is really helpful. School provides a predictable structure for students, and replicating that structure at home can be beneficial. Plan ahead with your students for the daily activities they want to do and the daily activities you need them to do. There's likely enough time for everything to fit. Last, our entire staff is available during this time, and the same network that supported your student and family earlier this year is still there. Teachers who work with your student will have daily published office hours, and we will respond to emails within 24 hours on school days. Intervention specialists and related service providers will continue to communicate with families of students with disabilities, and English language instructors will continue to communicate with families of English language learners. While we're all staying at home, the mental health of your family is more important than academic growth. And what students experience while they're at home during this pandemic will be what they remember. We want students to stay engaged while at home, but when we're back to school, we'll meet students where they are and make any necessary course corrections to support them, just like we always do. We're experts at it. All the best to you and your family. Thanks so much for watching.
Again, I want to thank our curriculum director, Mark Grayler, for producing and putting together that video for people. That will be also posted on our Facebook page and our website so that you can access it and take a look at it at any time. This week, our General Assembly passed House Bill 197 in response to the COVID-19 public health crisis. House Bill 197 is awaiting the governor's signature, and as soon as he signs it, it will take effect immediately. And there are some education-related changes that are contained in House Bill 197, so I want to communicate those to our listeners. Number one, the state has eliminated state and federal testing for the 1920 school year. So all of our state testing, end of course exams, and other standardized tests have been eliminated for the 1920 school year. In addition to that, then, it also eliminates the state report card for the 1920 school year because all of the data that is on the state report card comes from the state testing. And so if you don't have the testing, you can't have the report card. So we won't see a state report card for this past school year or for this current school year. The other thing that the legislation does is that it eliminates it waives the third grade reading guarantee that would retain any third graders not reading at grade level. That's not a big issue for our schools in Lebanon. We've had very few, just a count on one hand, third grade students that have been retained in third grade because they were not reading at grade level. But across our state, that's a big deal in that it'll give school districts the opportunity to make that decision at the local level about whether to retain a third grader based on their reading level. The legislation also allows school districts in Ohio to grant high school diplomas to any senior who was on track to graduate when the closure happened. So a couple of weeks ago when schools were ordered closed, if you're a senior and you were on track to graduate, you're going to get your diploma, you're going to get it on time, and you're going to graduate on time. Can't tell you about what any type of ceremony or the awarding of diplomas might look like at this point in time. We're working on that, but as soon as we have that finalized, we will let you know. So again, that has given our school districts a lot more local control over the awarding of diplomas. And again, we're going to make those decisions in favor of our seniors. The other item, education-related item in that House bill deals with Ed Choice. The Ed Choice Scholarship has been a big topic of discussion in Ohio for several months. It was in conference committee in Columbus, meaning that there were representatives from both houses at a conference table debating Ed Choice and what should be contained in the new legislation. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, those discussions stopped, and now this bill officially freezes that discussion until a later time. And so right now, all of the schools who were identified as Ed Choice schools will remain Ed Choice schools, but there will be no additional schools qualifying for next school year. So that's just sort of been frozen in time, the Ed Choice scholarships. They will still occur for schools who were previously identified, but there'll be no additional schools added to Ed Choice at this point in time. And then finally, the last piece of that legislation that impacts us locally is the impact on the primary election. The Lebanon City School District does have a renewal operating levy, issue 9, that is on the primary ballot. Of course, that election has been delayed until early June, but our legislators, the General Assembly, has passed some legislation that has set the last day for voting as April 28th. So people have until April 28th to vote for the primary election in Ohio. But they have also prohibited in-person voting for the election, which means that if you want to cast a vote in this year's election, either for the school district issue or for candidates running for office, you need to request an absentee ballot from the Warren County Board of Election and then fill that out and return it, because there will be no in-person voting for this primary election as ordered by our state legislators in House Bill 197. So that's important. We want everybody to exercise their right to vote. You're just going to have to make some extra effort this cycle to do that if you have not already done so. If you have questions about that, you can certainly call the Warren County Board of Elections, and I'm certain they'll have information about it. I'm sure they'll have things posted on their website as well. So that is our update for now. I want to thank you for watching #OnwardLebanon, which airs monthly here on Lebanon Channel 6. To learn more about the Lebanon City School District and to track our response to the COVID-19 pandemic, you can follow us on Facebook at Lebanon City Schools or check out our website at lebanonschools.org. Until next time, stay healthy, take care of yourselves, and take care of those around you.